Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is the natural definition of sensorality? So where do I want to start today is, it is what it is. Again, a phrase you've heard a bunch, a phrase you've probably said, but it is like the fundamental, five syllables, right? Language is directly literal. It is what it is. It represents thing. It's kind of the physics to linguistics. But it is the structure of all logic. And so you can see that apparent in a bunch of words, but when we're saying we're trying to establish, or what is the natural definition of sensorality, we're trying to integrate the syllability, right? And then we have this infinite uniqueness, right? Things are special. Speciality is special with an ITY. It is infinite uniqueness in its fundamental physical mathematical sense. It is the natural tendency to differentiate in its emotional sense. And so this infinite uniqueness, right? I have always been me, whoever you are, you've always been you. Each object is independent. Things are discrete. And so all language has been articulated by individuals. Really, the word individual still has that irreducibility, that fundamental stability of two. Individuality spells out duality. But it is what it is this structure that is irreducible, that we've always been present in. This whole derivation series, every bit of language you've ever articulated or ever heard is in this form. It is what it is. And so in establishing the definition of sensorality, we're showing sensorality is what sensorality is, right? Speciality is special with an ITY. You've never heard that phonetic before, speciality, or maybe you have, but it's directly, literally true linguistically. And so we're just establishing identity, right? I am what I am. You are what you are. It is what it is. Sensorality is what sensorality is. And by doing so, we're finding again some chunk of that form of syllability of sensorality out in the wild and just, again, reducing identity. Contracting all of this logic to it is what it is. Sensorality is what sensorality is. And so that is what we're reducing through. That is what is at the forefront of my mind, emphasizing that it is what it is this irreducible structure of logic that you've always been bounded by your whole life. All language, it's the form of all language. And so what is a natural definition? It's explicitly showing identity. Sensorality is what sensorality is. And so what is sensorality? Last time I put it on the screen, literally said it out loud, but didn't like connect the syllables. Again, we have this irreducibility, syllability. We're getting our conceptualization in the right order, and then the syllables will literally line up. And so last episode, I said out loud, like for like a suffix, right? We have three kind of interesting chunks that we've come across. Ment, right? Anytime you generalize a word that ends in M-E-N-T, you get mentality. Anytime you generalize something that ends in O-R, you get orality. Mentality and orality are concepts exclusive or unique to sentient life. But then we also have, again, the word ship at the end of words, censorship. And so I had mentorship, literally said out loud and didn't like connect the syllability. Sensorality is mentorship. Complete logical renormalization. But it was just funny. I literally like spelled it out and didn't like connect it or explicitly state that. And so what is mentorship to censorship? Sensorality mentors. Sensorality is mentorality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Right? Because remember, in the same way we produced amalgamated words, and that's compound words. In the same way we derived, again, the process of connecting 2 points as efficiently as possible, that's cursive handwriting. So some part in the same way we axiomatize speciality by articulating the concept of infinite uniqueness and then progressing that conceptualization to say, that's exactly what special means. That's what we're doing with sensorality. What is a sensor? So sensorality is mentorality. But you get to that point where you literally say ment or ship as like three independent things, and it's mentorship. Moving along. Sphericality is the theme of locality, right? This term, you have point spheres in physical ontology, as well as the entirety of the shell theorem again, right? Just by nature of physical proportions, things act like point particles to every other thing. At like a atomic level, at a galactic level, clearly there's, my notebook, it doesn't look like a point particle, but again, its gravitational field is inconsequential entirely to my movement, right? All of its electromagnetic strong and weak force bounding and electromagnetic bounding is mostly stable. That's why it doesn't have, it's not a conducting electricity. And so the point spheres, the shell theorem, everything, right, at like relevant sizes acts as points to other things. Sphericality is the theme of locality. Or again, what's the opposite of locality? Distance, generality, far awayness. Just moving along. Sensorality is sphericality, natural definition. Sensorality is the theme of 3. So now again, emphasizing the direct geometric progression. 3, you chop m again, right? M in half and then n. So again, you like effectively that's like the square root, kind of, geometrically. Going from m to r, or m to n would be a square root, and then like a square root, a fourth root. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm again articulating any conceptualization, any ideas, anything that pops into my mind. Because again, once we resolve this, there's no false paradoxes. We've created this logical structure. We've identified inconsistency. What is sensorality? But articulating any bit of logic present. And so, but the theme of 3, right? We live in 3 dimensions. Historically, the Trinity is the theme of 3. And then we've derived triality, the linguistic form tri, 3, and then ality, the generalizing suffix, right? Trinity is triality. It's a natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is trinitality. Triality is triangulation. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, preserving the syllability up until the TRIA, just emphasizing the word form. Trinity is triangulation. Triangulation locates, right? Locality, locate. What is trinity to locality? Again, just when I said sphericality is the theme of locality, yeah, I almost want to feel like maybe that's like an inverse, right? You have to be like far away for things to be acting as spheres, but you get what I'm saying. What is trinity to locality? Right? You need 3 things, 3 satellites to map the Earth, right? You need 3 points to map a sphere. And I even like Googled it, a 3 sphere versus like a regular sphere, but a sphere is a sphere. Moving along. Sensorality is perfect symmetry. Sensorality is the symmetry of extremity. Direct anatomical statement, right? Your left hand and right hand are not symmetric. Language is directly literal. We're just working up to a definition. Order is neat. Sensorality is neat. Sensorality is tidy. Sensorality is tidiality, right? Neat and tidy. Sensorality is tidiality, or the same thing twice. Are waves tidal, right? Tidal wave, tidy, tidal. Does tidality wave? Are tides prime? Ooh, direct iteration. Tide, prime, the I and the E. Sensorality is the form of spelling, all of it. What is or to of? Emphasizing the geometry once again, F and R. Spelling formalizes. Spelling is a formality. Again, we're demonstrating the form of all language, spelling as a geometric consequence. And that form is irreducible. Sensorality is exorbitant. Exorbitant. Exorbitant, absorb. Orality rants. Again, derived, again, this containment, sensorality, exorbitant, contains rant. Crime is perpetuated. Sensorality is perpetuated. Sensorality is perpetuality. Confusion perplexes. What is pouncing to pouring? Right? If you pounce on something, you pour over something. Again, emphasizing we chop that N in half, we get an R. What is agenticality to allergicality? Right? Are agents allergic? Just emphasizing the word forms. Sensorality is the urge to splurge. Sensorality is the urge to splooge. Sorry, that one made me laugh. Sensorality plunges. Capitulation plunges. Is a plunger a suction cup? I don't know what. That one made me laugh. But again, is a plunger a suction cup? Oh. I honestly don't know why I'm laughing so much. It's just, again, you get to this ontology where everyone's conceptualization is bounded by sexuality. And so it just sounds like splurge, splooge. And then is a plunger a suction cup? And it's like a genuine, like that's the genuine mathematical like progression. All of this logic is so serendipitous. All of it's just random associations. And again, the logic is consistent. Putting the stuff together, the meanings of each word is consistent. What things people talk about is the same stuff. But the actual associations is so serendipitous and just haphazard and random. But we carry on. Is a plunger a suction cup? Diving plunges. Sensorality is externality. Internality is the opposite of externality. External, eternal. Again, the inside and outside of a system, the boundary of a system, some part of, again, this logical resolution, this demonstration of completion, this finding this natural definition of sensorality. Also, again, it kind of answers it resolves all of this inconsistency. Any question you think that is unresolved, that is, again, a meaningful question. But what is like the inside of a system and the outside of the system is the same thing as what is complete is what is and what is incomplete, what is open and what is closed. Same type of logic. What is charge to sensation? Sensorality charges crime. Dispersal discharges. Releasing discharges. What is leasing to teasing? Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality leases. Again, emphasizing lease is once again built on ease. Lease, ease, natural definition. What is a lease to a lens? What is a lens to a sensor? Is a lens a sensor? Lens, sense. Sensorality, lenses. And I have that spelled out, not just L-E-N-S, but lenses and then an E-S, right? Some, like, how do you pluralize lens? If you have lenses, but sensorality, lenses as a verb. What is action to function? What is do to go? Again, emphasizing the symmetry of D and G. Is a verb a function? Verbs are actions, verbs are functions. Sensorality is how verbs work. Sensorality is how vibes function. Sensorality is how verbs function. Sensorality contracts. Sensorality conjugates. Sensorality analyzes. What is censorship to analysis? Right? Is sensation analytical? Analysis is sequential. Sense is the theme of sensorality. Sensation is emotional, and now for another complete renormalization, we started with mentorship, and now just entirely, sensorality is emotionality. And so our complete range of motion is, wait for it, emotion. Right? And there's our base E again, how convenient. But again, overall, this derivation to complete sensorality, overall, just more syllability to less syllability, but the domain of emotion to motion, right? The motion part is solidified. The fundamental physics part is solidified. what makes you special is infinitely or endlessly differentiating. Or, right, there's some kid in Myanmar right now, and he's doing the ultimate, I don't know, what's some stereotypical thing about Myanmar? I don't know, we'll just do Mongolia. We'll pop on over to Mongolia. There's some kid trying to ride on the horse and be the best archer in his town. And that process is he's trying to be special. He's trying to differentiate for sexual antagonism in the broadest sense, to be valuable as a mate. But again, the context, like how many different ways the process of wanting to be special is one thing. We're finding we're trying to stabilize sensorality. And the complete finalization is sensorality is emotionality. And so that is what I have right now. My rights continue to be violated. It is profoundly illegal. Absolutely no one gives a flying fuck about the law. All I want is a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. Nobody cares. Still, nobody cares. It's amazing how profound the hypocrisy is in this country, in this world, in the entirety of the academic structure, and the entire law enforcement structure. You are an embarrassment and a disgrace. There's some more free shit for you. Thank you for watching. That is what I have for now. See you on the next one.